We're studying how societies change and how major changes in environment, in technology, and in today's class, institutions change even the way that the world works, the changes from one age of globalization to the next. In our approach, we have the three major drivers of change. We have the physical geography, such as climate or minerals or topography or proximity or distance from trade lanes. We have the technological changes over time in how to produce food or working metals or manufacturing and other areas of economic life. And we have the third major driver of human change and shaper of society, and that is institutions. What are institutions? What do I mean by that term? Institutions are the rules, procedures, and organizational forms that determine how people interact together and live together in our communities, in our nations, and at the global scale. Institutions come in many shapes and forms, just like technology or physical geography. Institutions include the laws that govern our lives, and we have had laws that govern society, not quite from time immemorial, but from time memorial, including the Hammurabi Code, for example, in ancient Mesopotamia, or the laws of the Roman Empire collected and codified by Justinian, or the Napoleonic Code brought by Napoleon in the early 19th century in revolutionary France, and of course the laws that govern our societies today. We have institutions including religion, the priests and the religious communities that shape how people behave, how they interact with each other, what they believe about this world and the right way to live. We have economic institutions, such as the way that property is defined. Property isn't something that is naturally a part of our world. It's a human innovation. The idea that there is intellectual property, that people or organizations can own the rights of their ideas, whether as copyrights or as trademarks or as patents, is an invention. It is an innovation in institutional design. The idea that a productive enterprise could be owned by many, indeed millions of individual owners who each own a share of the company and have the free right to trade that share to another person who becomes an owner is itself an invention, an innovation. We call it the joint stock company. It's the form of ownership of a modern corporation, especially a publicly traded corporation. And political institutions include the ways that power is shaped in society, and one of the defining instruments of that are the constitutions of different societies. The idea of studying constitutions of how power is structured, who rules, what are the terms of rule, how do new rulers come to rule, what is the role of courts or assemblies or parliaments versus monarchs or emperors or consuls in ancient Rome. Those rules, as defined by the constitutions of society, are shapers of our lives and have been studied at least since Aristotle had his students and his research assistants collect the constitutions of the city-states of ancient Greece And then Aristotle brilliantly in the Politics and in other studies that essentially invented the science of politics or political science, compared these constitutions and their efficacy. Well, institutions change over time. Religions are invented or are modified decisively by new ideas or new approaches or events. Constitutions are invented or reinvented, such as the United States Constitution, which uniquely for its time was formally written down in 1787, and upon ratification by the states of the United States became the governing law of the land as of 1789, when George Washington became the first president of the United States of America. Cultures change, attitudes towards what is the right way to live or not, what is the structure of households, what is the role of men versus women or boys versus girls in a society. So change comes in behaviors governed by cultural norms or ideas about what is right and wrong in society. And the study and understanding of institutions and their change in all of these forms, laws, political institutions, economic institutions, religious organizations, cultural norms, are the third area of change that we will be investigating in some depth as we study each of the ages of globalization. Well, we began, as much as we know, on the African savanna, living in small bands, meaning related individuals moving in a foraging community of perhaps 35 to 50 people, and more loosely linked with larger tribes in an area sharing a common territory. What we think we know about these bands or foraging communities in terms of their institutions is that they were highly egalitarian. In other words, the resources of the hunt or of the forage were shared among the members of the band or this small group that lived together and traveled together, hunted together, and developed a culture and a shared perception of reality together. But as we move from the Paleolithic age to settled communities, the bands become larger villages, larger settlements, and as we move across the various ages, the villages become city-states, and the city-states become parts of classical empires. The classical empires became part of transoceanic empires that straddle the world. And the interconnectedness and shape of our institutions and all the dimensions that I've mentioned in religion, in cultural practices of what's permitted, what is forbidden, what is accepted, what is taboo, how our political power is organized across various agencies and organizations of public life. All of this is constantly reshaped, reorganized, and innovated, just as the physical technologies of society are reshaped. When we think about each of these changes, we have yet another fundamental driver of global change and another deep way to understand the interconnectedness of humanity and a new lens for us to understand the institutions of the digital age and how they should evolve to help humanity meet its challenges of the current age.